So when he left, I stayed. We didn't have trouble in the beginning.
Yeah,
We were inseparable.
that's something we never really um, discussed or talked about.
Hey, thank you for joining us. This is the first time that David and I are thinking that we're going to get honest, raw, real,
Get our feelings out.
get our feelings out. I hope we already got our feelings out.
It's a practice.
Practice. Okay. So we are going to discuss something that's important, especially as entrepreneurs to other entrepreneurs. And it is, I wanted to start anyway with what almost broke us.
The time in Costa Rica during the pandemic, during COVID, where we wanted to get away. We were tired of being shut up or shut out or closed in and inside the house. And so we went to Costa Rica uh, f- for what initially was going to be a month.
I think it was either 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I always
Yeah,
get
it was
that
a month.
wrong.
I think it was a month. But we rented a house and um, got into an argument. And we were actually scheduled to leave to go back. I went back to Detroit and you stayed.
I stayed because the argument was one that was life changing for me at that time. It made me think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? It was in the pandemic. It was at a point that it was at a breaking point for me. And I was thinking there's no reason for me to do this. And I know the divorce rate went up high during COVID.
Mm-hmm. A lot of
Yeah.
it is because people were, it was different. It was a different lifestyle, work out of the house. Remember,
Oh,
you were
yeah.
used to leaving,
Oh, yeah. I
flying
remember.
at least once a month, at least one week out of the month,
Yeah, I remember.
going to Philadelphia. Um, you had a class every month
I
that
did
you,
just about.
mm-hmm.
But it wasn't just that. I think there was a lot of things that we didn't see, the death that we didn't because it wasn't immediate. I think we took for granted that those deaths didn't impact us because no one no one close to us died. But death all around you, being afraid to go outside, all this fear, that does something to
Yeah,
your
that
psyche.
was interesting.
Yeah.
We painted the house inside, then we built a deck
We did.
and when ran out of projects, I guess, and but for 10 months, I mean, not
Was it?
quite 10 months. It was
Ooh,
actually more. Well, it was March, but we went to Houston in February.
we
Remember,
did, and it
early
wasn't
end of
hard.
February, beginning
It
of
was February
March.
14th
Yeah.
ish when our friend got married.
hmm So it was 8 months. I mean, we did everything together.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was okay, I think, but it was external stress. The point that I guess that I wanted to make is that is what almost broke us. And then it's not just the argument, but what came after. And what came after was I just didn't care. An attitude of apathy. It was like, okay, well, I don't care. I don't care about you or what you do or what you don't do. I'm going to do what I want to do. You figure it out or you don't figure it out. I'm going to do what lights my heart up. So when he left, I stayed and I was staying for 1 week. And so the plan was 1 week. I rented a hotel room for 1 week and I drove to the other side of the country. When I drove to the other side of the country, it felt so good. And remember, that's when I met Simone and Seth
hmm
during that visit. And at the hotel on the beach. And a question she asked me was, I said, well, you can do that. She said, oh, it feels so good here. I think I'm going to stay a while and I might even move here. I was like, well, you can do that. And she was like, well, you can't. And I said, well, no, I can't. And she said, why? I was like, just because my life isn't set up like that. And she said, you can do anything, make any decision for 30 days at a time. And I was like, you're right, I can. And I still left. I may have extended it like a week or 2 weeks, but I remember coming home on January 6th when they were scaling the building, the Capitol building.
Okay.
And then I unpacked my clothes. I went to my brother's birthday gathering like the next day. It was like January 7th. And January 8th, or either later January 7th, I was back on a plane going to Costa Rica.
No.
I thought it was fucking nuts here. And we hadn't mended anything. And I was still in my I don't give a shit mode. Reggie was living with his dad. Ty was in LA. No, she had
Mm.
come home. She had come home before the pandemic, but she's grown at that point ish, right? Grown ish. So I left and I went back. How did that make you feel?
It was very challenging to deal with emotions and feelings. Um, and in hindsight,
Hold on. Before we go to hindsight, can we deal with, you said it was challenging and difficult to deal with emotions and feelings. What kind of emotions and feelings were you having? Because,
one of abandonment,
mm,
loneliness, and also soul searching
mm,
for myself in terms of seeing what I needed to do to improve, to be a better partner.
yeah. So I have to say I definitely wasn't looking at being a better partner at that time when we were apart. I was looking at being the best Shalece because I thought that I was the best partner. Like I was under the guise or the impression that I was a good partner. Like this is as good as it gets. What are we doing? Like you blew it. I'm, you know, that was the mindset back then. Like I am a good partner. And so yeah, I did a lot of soul searching, I would say, for Shalece. And Shalece did whatever she wanted to do. If I wanted to eat mangoes all day, I did that. If I wanted to, it was the first time I realized that I'd ever lived in a house alone. Ever. Did you know that?
In Costa Rica,
When I stayed in Costa Rica, that was my first time ever living alone. Ever. And I was almost 40 years old then. I was 38, I believe. My first time ever living alone, and it felt so good. I loved being warm. I loved the warmth. I loved being able to walk, the apartment I had. So I love, or that, I loved walking to the beach, knowing everybody, saying hi to everyone, having the community. It was great. And it, again, was my first time ever living alone and like asking myself, what do I want? And doing exactly what my heart desired at that moment without needing to serve or care for anyone.
hmm. That's something we never really um, discussed or talked about from that perspective, like you being just by yourself, taking care of yourself. And that was for 4 months. It
Five,
was five. Well,
five
you
and a
came
half.
for your birthday. You came home for your
I came
birthday.
home for my
Yeah.
birthday and for little Calvin's going away
Mm-hmm.
in May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So December to May.
To me, yep.
Yeah, or January to May, because remember I came
Right.
back and I left.
Yep.
So yeah, and it was if I wanted to sleep in, which I didn't because I always wanted to get up. I was super happy. I if I wanted to stay up late, go to bed early, go like I didn't have to take a kid to a violin lesson or a baseball game or practice or hockey. I didn't have to do anything. I could just exist.
Yep. Go to the beach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot every day, twice,
Yep.
3 times. All day, sometimes just on the beach, reading, writing, talking to friends.
Yep.
Yeah. So it made you feel abandoned, alone, and it also caused you to do some introspection. What did you find during that time?
Just dealing with emotions, feelings, writing. Uh, I have always been a good writer, but and that was an opportunity to just write, to journal,
Mm-hmm.
um, and to share with you,
Mm-hmm.
and to be vulnerable, to have like the opportunity to say, well, put it all out there.
Yeah, I remember you used to send me every morning a copy of like your affirmation.
Hmm.
You would send me a snip almost every morning. I don't know when it began. I don't think it was the whole 5 months. I feel like it started like in February or March, maybe February. I don't know, but it was every day. You would send a snippet of your affirmation for us for the day.
No.
And at that time, I took it for granted because I was not in a headspace. I can't say that I had much care. I felt like, we talked, this is like the moment that almost broke us. I felt broken. I was literally broken. And now remember, I was under the guise that I was the perfect partner. I can't say perfect, but damn near. Like I was doing my job. I was holding up my part. And I mean, now I look at it and I'm like, whoa, you know, I had a lot of room to grow and improve, but my capacity wasn't there. So for the level of love that I had to give, for the intellectual capacity that I had regarding intimacy, that is all. I was at the max of that. So A for effort.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think we definitely could have um, called it the end because we were separated. But at the same time, I felt like the work that I did helped me be grounded to us and know that I didn't want to have that as a permanent, you know, solution or separation. I didn't want that to be, I didn't want that.
And I'm so grateful that you didn't because contrary to you, my stepfather and mother have been together for 30 years, almost 30 years. Your parents have been together for
Almost 60.
60 years,
No.
almost in October, right? I didn't have that example, the longevity, the word that you say that I hate, the long suffering. I didn't have that because I didn't believe in. I believed, and I still do, in like seasons and transitioning, and sometimes things come to an end. And yet I'm happy that it didn't, because we were able to come back better eventually. Because that wasn't the end of the tough part, those 5 months. It kind of did this for a while, undulated.
It did. And probably took a good year.
Mm,
Just going back chronologically. And then from there, just thinking about life events.
hmm
And it seems like, yeah, you have life events with family, kids, parents, and thinking about all the things that we've done. And then um, moving to a new house. Um,
Launching a business.
yeah, actually, really um, thriving in a lot of different areas, physically and mentally, and professionally and financially. So,
It was tough. Um, I would say it was tough for sure. And I remember when I started caring, and you weren't there. You were like,
yeah, yeah.
it was like the momentum had built, and
And
then
then
it
it,
waned, and then mine came on from all the work that David had put in, all of the time, the attention, the care, the seeking of the therapist. It worked. It just took a minute for my roots to grab hold of everything that you were doing, but they did. And by the time they did, the momentum had developed, I guess. You tell me, instead of me saying, like, what happened by the time I came around, like, what was your state of mind?
um, I guess, yeah, it wasn't reciprocal in the way that maybe I wanted something immediate. Of course, it didn't happen. And then, so by the time that you were ready, then I kind of checked out and I wasn't. Yeah, which is interesting. Yeah, when you think about it, because seasons,
Yeah.
things come and go. And so lining things back up, like when we first met, I mean, we were like inseparable, did everything, had to do everything, didn't matter what it was. Yep.
Running.
Running. Yep. Hang. Yep. Which you didn't like.
Mm-mm.
Supporting each other, running up and down the highway,
Yeah.
doing all the family
Yep.
activities, and hosting people, hosting friends.
Yeah.
I mean, we did everything,
We did.
and it was like we started like rather quickly when going back, looking at,
Yeah, like 8 months quickly
yeah. Well,
before.
but the build up of building up, um, it was we're just like we're love partners with everything, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did we get back? We see all the rough shit that happened, all the things that we went through, the state of mind. And hopefully, as time goes on, because we have 3 more talks that we're going to do, hopefully, as time goes on, you'll talk a little more about feelings. Because you'll name them, because you'll say feelings and emotions, but you won't name like anger, frustration, fear, hurt, disappointment, um, bitterness. So we used to keep a feelings sheet on the refrigerator. I'm looking at the refrigerator like, where's the feelings sheet?
Hmm.
Um, but
For men, though, it's challenging to be expressive sometimes to the point where you even can tap into that certain thought or feeling to dial in because we're typically as men we've been detached. It's like we're just like, oh, I'm mad
Yeah, everything
and I
you
don't know
say.
why,
Yeah.
or I'm going to react
But what do you
and I'm
think
not going to
is,
process it.
yeah,
I'm just going to like not like it,
yeah.
and so that's an opportunity to really and going back to that time when we were separated, that's what I did. I really processed
Mm,
a lot of thoughts, and I was able to write them down and
and they,
express them. It was honestly, it was time.
it was time.
It was healing. It was, um, I think it was me and you.
Hmm.
It was the desire. Um, it was a combination of being able to heal.
Our
A
therapist.
therapist. Yep.
So
That was.
Pam,
Yep.
major shout out to her.
Yep.
She helped and gave us some tools that were invaluable when we first got married. Remember, we were looking for
Mm-hmm.
tools. We were
Mm-hmm.
looking for everything we found was like marriage counseling for those in trouble. And I didn't want that. We didn't have trouble in the beginning.
Yep.
We were inseparable. So I would say the therapy really did help and gave us tools. And then after that, we went to like some couples retreats.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those helped too. MC gave us a lot of
Yep.
tools
Yep.
that we still use. Yeah, it was that I
Yep.
think the tools that I would say the tools. I mean, thinking about it now, like how did we get back? Well, it was not easy to use the tools. David used to hate the State of the Union. He would
Mm-hmm.
always find some reason. It could be organic. We don't need to do this. We should do it when we eat. No, we don't need to make an appointment. Why do we? Because it was uncomfortable. And I didn't understand that it was uncomfortable. I was just reading it as, you gaslighting me? We done went and spent all this damn money and now you don't want to do this? Like, what is going on? Not understanding that it he had good intentions, but it was coming from a place of discomfort. And you didn't like it. You don't like to feel uncomfortable.
Going back to feelings, yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to being expressive. I
And
think
exposed, being told something. I mean, if we're going to be real, being told that I don't like something about you bothered you, or that I want you to do this differently really bothered you because you would, in my opinion, because you would say,
well, I
well,
would,
what's going right?
but I would, yeah, I would go back to like how you thought. Like I'm doing good things. Everything
Yeah,
is going
yeah,
well.
yeah. Man, yeah, I remember. And you would say, well, what's going well? And I would say, yes, what I said before, because it's like, what do I need more of? Where can you, like, what do I need you to stop doing and why? And what I would like you to do instead. It was like those three questions. And every time it was like, what I need you to stop doing and instead do more of. It was a painful, painful experience for the both of us, actually. Because David would be like, well, why are you focusing on it? I'm like, I'm not focusing on it, but this is a part of the look, it's a part of see the assignment. We're supposed to do this. Yeah, without thinking that you're a bad person or that you did something wrong or unkind. It's just this didn't work for me.
Hmm.
So I would say that's how we got back. What did you learn from that situation? Because it lasted a while.
I learned that a good therapist can be a good mediator because it allows you to air out your frustrations, thoughts, grievances in a way where, and then you can hear the other person. You can hear them through that therapist
Yeah.
and not get upset and not have to react.
Yeah.
And that hour would go like way too fast. It wasn't long enough. It felt like it just whizzed by.
Yeah.
We always needed more time, but it was an opportunity to just put everything out there and then have a coach that could say, okay, well, this is what you need to do for improvement, but you have to listen to the person. So it really gave you an opportunity to say, yeah, I'm still upset. I'm mad, but to be able to just put it out and to get it out of your system and not carry it around with you.
Mm.
Um, and we did one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
with the therapist, and then we did it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good too, to get coaching one-on-one individually, but then to be able to come back together and do it with what you learned about yourself and what you need to do.
Or that's what you learned.
Yeah, that was. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
That's what you learned.
mm-hmm.
Me get. I learned, and the recency effect is coming into play here. But I learned there was no right or wrong. I learned that even more deeply. Before I knew like being appropriate is better than being right. I always knew that, or I knew it from a young age. Like, you can be right, and sometimes you can be inappropriate. So be appropriate. You don't always have to be right, even when you're technically right. Um, I learned even more through therapy with Pam that there there is no right and wrong. It's just an agreement that you have with the person. What is it that they need that you can give or are willing to give, and what is it that you need that they're willing to give or agree to? Like, there's nothing that's off the table as long as the two people agree to these things. You might like your back rubbed. I may hate rubbing backs, or whatever. I don't know. Many things that as long as the two people are in agreement with that thing, there is no right or wrong. Who should cook? Who should clean? Who should take the kids? Who should what? Like, there's no right or wrong, but how do you want to relate to one another? Your way. That's what I learned. And that I wasn't knocking it out the ballpark. Even before, I wasn't knocking it out the ballpark.
Yeah. So what we learned there was to how to stay together and to go through a crisis and to use tools and how to get better and defy the odds,
The COVID divorce
the
odds.
what was happening.
Yeah, if that's it. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, this was a tough topic for the both of us. It was something that David didn't want to really talk about. He didn't want to start with this. Is that more
Yeah, the
accurate?
next everything else would be easy.
Everything else will be easy. This one, I don't think we've told our story, the full story ever. We've never talked about this in public or to people. Like, what happened, what made me stay in Costa Rica, what took so long for us to get back together. Because on the outside, I'm sure everybody thought Shalece was just traveling.
Well, that was new at that time, but yeah, you have always traveled. So it was like, oh, okay, yeah, she just decided to stay.
Yeah.
And then when you came home, like for your birthday, we had a big party.
Yeah, and you came to Costa Rica in February.
Yeah.
You came to Costa Rica again before the part, like in
Yeah.
April for your
Yeah.
birthday. I came home in May.
Yeah. That
So,
was like 3. Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah, you may
it
want to
wasn't
come
like
again.
5 months that we didn't
No, 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 no. It
see each
wasn't
other. Yeah.
5 months.
No,
So we
true.
are going to talk more. I have 12 topics. I don't see them. They're somewhere. But we'll talk a little bit more about whatever David wants to talk about. I really wanted to talk about this because I think it's important that people understand that, like, you go through shit, tough shit, hard shit.
Yep. So the next topic is,
What?
I don't know, but I get to pick it.
You do.
I'm next.
You get
Yay.
next. So, thank you for hanging out with us. If you have questions, you can ask them, put them in the comments, and we'll take the time to answer them. So I guess David is comfortable enough doing so.
I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, okay.
Practice makes perfect.
Practice does make better.
Yeah.